Well, let me talk to you about these seasons in my own life in the same way that I have been. And again, this is not Tom necessarily. There was a time in this later season of my life where this darkness, I experienced it in a way of almost light. And God seemed to shine His light on me in a way that became terribly, terribly painful. And that I began to see my sin in a way that I could never have seen it before. Before, I think it would have crushed me and destroyed me if I'd had any concept of what it meant to be a sinner in the light of the holiness of God. But as I was able to experience more and more of His holiness, of His wonder and beauty and love, I began to see how desperately crippled and deformed and wounded and sick that I was because of sin. It was no longer a matter of the things that I could learn to stop doing, the thoughts that now no longer plagued me, the temptations that I now no longer gave into, but it was the very nature of my heart and of my motivation. Selfishness tainted everything. Ego polluted everything. Self-will corrupted everything. And knowing about it is one thing, but to have the Lord shine His light on it in your life, that every time you say good morning, you're aware of how you hope this person will appreciate your coming. Every time you say good night, you're aware of how much you hope that person will have cared about you being there. That when you say thank you for this, that you're only sort of thanking them. That when you want that, you know it's for this and not for him. And the light won't turn off. And I think we talk about it as a darkness because the light is so bright on us we can't see anything else. And the Lord, it happens, I think, to most of us in seasons, because there becomes a point when we have to say, stop, I can't take anymore. I know I'm a sinner. Why do I have to look at it? I don't want to be self-absorbed. I want to be able to love my neighbor freely and until the Lord begins to wean out of me the last drops of self-reliance, the last holes on my ability, my wisdom, my knowledge, my growth, my anything, until life can be all about Him. But it's terribly, terribly painful. And God doesn't intervene with salve or pats on the back or you're just like everybody else, Tom. Just remember the cross. You're forgiven. Just see the truth. And it's a terrible darkness. The dark night of the Spirit is also a dark night and a purging time in which God appears to leave. And after these seasons of revelation, of experiencing the wonder and majesty and awe of God, and in ways that I would never have dreamed possible, of looking for Him, revealing Himself in ways that are unexpected and exciting, suddenly it's as if He left. And there's nothing in me that discerns His presence. In the prayer closet, it's as if the prayers of my heart bounce off the ceilings, that there's a void and emptiness. There's no sense of His presence with me as I minister to others. It's as if I'm all alone in it. There's no words of direction. There's no words of comfort. There's no words of reassurance. The Scripture page goes blank and black and white, when for years it had been filled with color and vibrance and words of God to me. Worship on Sunday morning, the music went over me as if passed to others who were being blessed, who were experiencing tears and joy. And I was sitting as if alone. And I would cry out to God, Lord, where are you? I know you haven't left me. I know you haven't forsaken me. I know you're not gone anyplace. But why are you so silent? Certainly experience in my lives of God's silence, the feelings of His absence I'd experienced, but this extended time. And it wasn't related to things going bad in work or family. There weren't issues or prayers not being answered. I knew God was at work. It's just, why was He gone from my experience? And I was fortunate to have mentors and to have been able to read John of the Cross and others that could say, Tom, God is teaching you to walk by faith alone, to trust Him when there is no spiritual light, when there are no clues, when there are no signposts. Do you believe that I love you? Do you believe that I'm with you? Not because I sense Him, not because I see Him, not because there's a word to me, but in darkness, will you follow me? It lasted for some years. My greatest fear was that I would never come out of it. I would never taste again the beauty of His love or the glory of His presence, but that He would ask me to live my whole life in that darkness and in that absence. But if He asked me, Tom, do you love me? Yes, Lord. I'll stay here if it's your will.